In our last session, we pulled back the curtain on the AI mirage. We talked about why chasing every shiny new AI trend is a trap, a surefire way for businesses to burn through cash with absolutely nothing to show for it. It's a costly mistake, but it's one you can avoid. Today, however, we're shifting gears. We're moving from the warning to the wait. What happens if you've already started chasing those trends? Well, you're not just trying out new tech. You are inheriting a ticking time bomb, and it's called infrastructure debt. Think about it. Behind every cool new AI tool, there's a hidden tax. A tax on your company culture, a tax on your strategy, and frankly, a tax on your sanity. Today, we're looking at the actual invoice. Welcome to Section 2 of our Masterclass, the true operational cost of AI. I'm Mdia, and we're about to get into the gritty reality of what happens when AI adoption is reactive instead of strategic. Now, in the first 6 sections of this series, we learned how to spot the mirage. We figured out how to identify the hype and avoid the traps. Now, in sections 7 through 13, we're going to break down the execution damage. This is what turns a supposed quick win into a long-term, slow-burning nightmare. So, what are we going to explore? First, the cultural damage. This is what happens when your team stops believing in your vision because priorities seem to shift every single week. They lose faith, they get frustrated, and their passion starts to fade. Next, we'll tackle strategic collapse. This is how the fear of missing out, that constant FOMO, completely replaces any actual, coherent direction for your company. You stop leading and start reacting. Then we'll dive into leadership erosion. Why is it that chasing trends actually makes you a follower, not a leader in your industry? It positions you as someone who's always one step behind, desperately trying to catch up rather than setting the pace. And finally, we'll look at execution failure. This is why your company gets stuck in what I call permanent restart syndrome. Always starting new projects. Always chasing the next big thing. But never actually reaching full speed or finishing what you started. It's an exhausting cycle that leads nowhere. Listen, this isn't just about a bad software purchase or a wasted budget. This is about something much deeper. It's about the silent decay of your company's soul. It's about eroding your customers' trust, piece by piece. And ultimately, it's about destroying your ability to scale and build something truly lasting. If our first video was about spotting and avoiding the trap, this video is about understanding the debt you've already accumulated. More importantly, we're going to talk about how to start paying it off before it completely bankrupts your future. So, let's get right into it. We're going to begin with Section 7, the cultural damage. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started.
We've talked about the financial cost of blindly chasing AI trends. We've talked about the operational chaos it creates. But now we need to discuss something far more subtle and honestly, far more dangerous. The cultural damage. Culture is the invisible force that shapes everything inside a company. It determines how people work, how they think, how they collaborate, and how they innovate. It even shapes how they feel about showing up every day. And when a company starts chasing every shiny new AI trend without a clear strategy, without purpose, it doesn't just disrupt workflows. It poisons the culture. This trend chasing creates a culture of instability, confusion, and even fear. It's a place where nobody knows what truly matters because priorities shift from week to week. It's a place where employees eventually stop believing in their leadership. This is the hidden cost, the silent killer that destroys morale, trust, and any hope for long-term success. Let's break it down. First, you get a culture of uncertainty. When leaders are constantly jumping on the next big thing, employees live in a state of perpetual anxiety. They're thinking, are we switching tools again? Is my entire workflow about to be will this new tool I'm supposed to learn even matter next month? This constant uncertainty kills confidence, it kills focus, and it kills stability. And when people feel unstable, they stop giving their best work. This leads directly to a culture of skepticism. After a while, every time leadership announces a new AI tool or platform, employees just roll their eyes. It's not because they're lazy or resistant to change. It's because they've seen this movie before and they know how it ends. They've seen tools introduced with huge fanfare only to be abandoned a few weeks later for the next shiny object. These tools never deliver the promised results. So eventually, employees just stop believing. They stop engaging. They stop caring. This is cultural decay, and it's a slow, silent poison. Next comes the culture of fatigue. Healthy change is good, but constant, chaotic change is exhausting. When employees are forced to learn new tools, rebuild their work, and sit through endless training sessions for systems that will be gone in a month, they burn ouchie. This isn't just physical or emotional burnout. It's cognitive fatigue. Cognitive fatigue demolishes creativity, it crushes problem-solving ability, and it drains motivation. Chasing trends doesn't energize your team. It wears them down to the bone. Then, a culture of fear starts to creep in. When a company adopts AI tools haphazardly, without clear communication, employees start to worry about their own jobs. They wonder, is this tool meant to automate me out of a job? Why are we bringing in so many AI systems? What does this mean for my future here? Fear is the ultimate killer of innovation and collaboration. I should empower people, not make them terrified for their livelihood. But trend chasing sends exactly the wrong message. This environment also fosters a culture of shallow learning. Why would anyone invest time and energy to truly master a tool if they know it's just going to be replaced next month? People learn just enough to get by, but not enough to truly excel. This creates a workforce with only surface level knowledge. And without mastery, your organization loses quality, consistency, and any real sense of pride in its work. When these half-baked initiatives inevitably fail, you get a culture of blame. Instead of solving problems, people start pointing fingers. IT didn't train us properly. Leadership chose the wrong tool. The team didn't adopt it fast enough. Blame replaces accountability and collaboration. Trend chasing doesn't unite teams. It tears them apart from the inside. Finally, all of this culminates in a culture of distraction, where the company completely loses its identity. Instead of asking, what problem are we solving? Or what value are we creating? The only question becomes what's trending right now. The company stops leading with vision and starts following with fear, reacting to social media hype and competitor announcements. This is cultural weakness disguised as innovation. The bottom line is this: the cultural cost of chasing AI trends is enormous. It creates uncertainty, skepticism, fatigue, fear, and blame. It doesn't just break your tools, it breaks your culture. And your culture is the foundation of everything. The companies that will truly win in the age of AI woe, you and be the ones that adopt the most tools. They'll be the ones who build the strongest cultural culture of clarity, stability, mastery, and purpose. Because remember, AI doesn't transform a company. Leadership does. Thanks for watching. And if this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe for more. We've talked about the financial costs of chasing AI. We've talked about the operational chaos. We've even talked about the cultural damage. But now we need to talk about the most dangerous cost of all, the one that determines whether a company grows or collapses, the strategic cost of chasing AI trends. Because here's the thing, strategy isn't about tools. It's not about hype, and it's definitely not about what's trending on social media. Real strategy is about direction, focus, priorities, long-term advantage, and sustainable growth. And when a company gets caught up in chasing AI trends, it loses all of that. Trend chasing doesn't just disrupt workflows or frustrate employees or drain budgets. No, it destroys strategic clarity, the very foundation of every successful organization. So let's break down the strategic damage piece by piece. First, your strategy becomes reactive, not proactive. When companies chase trends, they stop leading and start reacting. They react to viral posts, influencer opinions, competitor announcements, and social media hype. This creates a strategy built on fear of missing out, fear of falling behind. But fear is not a strategy. Reaction is not a strategy. Copying is not a strategy. A company wins by setting a clear direction, not by following the noise. Second, priorities become completely confused. When every new AI tool feels urgent, nothing is truly important. Leaders start shifting priorities every week. Let's try this tool. Let's switch to this platform. Let's integrate this new feature. Teams get confused, roadmaps become unstable, and projects lose momentum. The entire organization loses its ability to focus. And focus is the engine of execution. Without focus, your strategy just collapses. This leads to the third problem. Long-term vision gets replaced by short-term excitement. Trend chasing creates a culture of instant gratification. Leaders get excited about quick wins, viral demos, impressive prototypes, and flashy features. But strategy isn't about the next 2 weeks. It's about the next 2 years and beyond. When you chase trends, you sacrifice long-term advantage for a fleeting moment of excitement. You build for the moment, not for the future. Fourth, your resources get scattered, and nothing ever reaches maturity. Every new AI trend requires budget, time, training, and leadership attention. When you're constantly chasing the next shiny object, your resources get spread thin across dozens of unfinished initiatives. Nothing becomes stable, nothing becomes scalable. And most importantly, nothing becomes a real competitive advantage. You end up with a graveyard of half-built ideas and unfinished potential. Fifth, strategy loses alignment. When leadership is chasing trends, teams start moving in different directions. Marketing goes one way, operations goes another, and it goes a third. Everyone is experimenting and testing new things, but no one is moving together toward a common goal. Alignment is the heartbeat of strategy. Without it, the organization becomes fragmented, a collection of disconnected efforts instead of a unified force. Next, decision-making becomes emotional, not analytical. Trend chasing encourages leaders to make decisions based on excitement, pressure, hype, and fear instead of data, strategy, customer needs, and long-term value. Emotional decisions might feel good at the moment, but it's the strategic decisions that actually create results. Trend chasing replaces solid logic with costly impulse. And finally, your competitive advantage disappears because everyone is doing the same thing. When companies just chase trends, they all end up using the same tools, the same features, and the same work. There's no differentiation, new uniqueness, and no competitive edge. If everyone is using the same AI tools in the same way, then nobody has an advantage. Real advantage comes from depth, mastery, strategic integration, and solid execution, not from copying everyone else. Ultimately, when a company chases trends, it forgets who it is. It stops asking, what problem are we solving? Or what makes us different? And instead asks, what's the newest tool? Or what's everyone else doing? This is how companies lose their identity, their direction, and their future. The strategic cost of chasing AI trends is devastating. It creates reactive strategy, confused priorities, scattered resources, and misaligned teams. Trend chasing doesn't make companies innovative. It makes them lose. The companies that will win in the AI era won't be the ones who adopt the most tools. They will be the ones who adopt the right tools with clarity, discipline, and powerful strategic intent. Because AI doesn't create strategy. Leaders do. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, give this video a like and subscribe for more insights on building a future-proof business. See you in the next one. We've talked about the financial cost. We've talked about the operational chaos. We've talked about the cultural damage. We've talked about the strategic confusion. Now we need to talk about the most personal cost of all, the cost that affects the credibility, confidence, and effectiveness of the people at the top. The leadership damage caused by chasing AI trends. Because AI doesn't just test systems. AI doesn't just test work. AI doesn't just test budgets. AI tests leadership. And when leaders chase trends instead of building strategy, they unintentionally weaken their own authority, their own influence, and their own ability to guide the organization. Let's break down the leadership damage that no one talks about, but everyone feels. Leaders lose credibility. Teams stop taking direction seriously. When leaders jump from one AI trend to another, employees start to notice. They think, here we go again. This won't last. They'll change their mind next week. Why should I invest in this? Credibility is built through consistency. Credibility is built through clarity. Credibility is built through follow-through. Trend chasing destroys all three. When leaders constantly shift direction, teams stop believing in the direction. And once credibility is lost, leadership becomes a title, not an influence. Leaders lose authority. Decisions feel random. Not strategic authority comes from making decisions that feel thoughtful, informed, intentional, aligned, strategic. But when leaders chase trends, decisions feel emotional, impulsive, reactive, unstable, unpredictable. Teams start to question leadership judgment. They start to doubt leadership vision. They start to wonder whether leadership truly understands the business. Authority is not about power. Authority is about trust. Trend chasing erodes that trust. Leaders lose focus. They get pulled into the noise. AI is loud. AI is fast. AI is overwhelming. Every day brings new tools, new features, new models, new announcements. New hype. Leaders who chase trends get pulled into the noise. They spend their time watching demos, testing tools, reading hype posts, comparing features, debating options, instead of focusing on strategy, people, culture, execution, customers. Trend chasing distracts leaders from the work only leaders can do. Leaders lose confidence. Constant change creates self-doubt. When leaders chase trends, they often feel like they're always behind. They think, are we moving fast enough? Are we choosing the right tools? Are we missing something important? Are competitors ahead of us? This creates a cycle of self-doubt. Leaders start making decisions from fear instead of clarity, from pressure instead of purpose, from insecurity instead of strategy. Confidence is a leader's most powerful asset. Trend chasing quietly steals it. Leaders lose alignment and their vision becomes blurry. A leader's job is to create clarity. But when leaders chase trends, the vision becomes blurry. The organization hears, we're doing this now. Actually, we're switching to this. Wait, this new tool is better. Hold on, let's try this instead. This creates confusion at every level. Teams don't know what the real priorities are, what the long-term direction is, what success looks like. What matters most is a blurry vision is worse than no vision. Trend chasing blurs everything. Leaders lose their people. Employees stop following. Leadership is not about authority. Leadership is not about hierarchy. Leadership is not about titles. Leadership is about followership and the willingness of people to follow you because they believe in you. But when leaders chase trends, people stop believing, people stop trusting, people stop following. They comply, but they don't commit. They listen, but they don't engage. They execute, but they don't care. Trend chasing doesn't just weaken leadership. It disconnects leadership from the people they lead. Leaders lose their identity. They become followers, not leaders. When leaders chase trends, they stop leading. They follow social media hype, influencer opinions, competitor behavior, industry noise. But leadership is not about following what everyone else is doing. Leadership is about vision, direction, discipline, courage, originality. Trend chasing turns leaders into followers, and followers cannot lead organizations into the future. Leaders lose the future. Because they are too busy chasing the present, the future belongs to leaders who think, I'll build capability, create systems, develop people, strengthen culture, focus on fundamentals. Trend chasing leaders do the opposite. They chase the present, they chase the noise, they chase the hype, and while they're chasing, the future slips away. The bottom line, the leadership cost of chasing AI trends is profound. It creates lost credibility, lost authority, lost focus, lost confidence, lost alignment, lost followership, lost identity, lost future. Trend chasing doesn't just weaken organizations. Trend chasing weakens leaders. The leaders who win in the AI era are not the ones who adopt the most tools. They're the ones who adopt the right mindset, a mindset of clarity, discipline, and long-term vision. Because AI doesn't make leaders better. Leaders make AI better. We've talked about the financial cost. We've talked about the operational chaos. We've talked about the cultural damage. We've talked about the strategic confusion. We've talked about the leadership impact. Now we need to talk about the cost that hurts the most. The cost that affects the very reason your business exists. The customer. Because when companies chase AI trends, customers feel it not in the budget, not in the strategy, not in the internal meetings. They feel it in the experience. Trend chasing doesn't just disrupt your organization. Trend chasing disrupts your customers. And customers don't care about your tools. Customers don't care about your experiments. Customers don't care about your internal chaos. Customers care about one thing. Does this company make my life easier or harder? Let's break down the customer damage, the cost that silently erodes trust, loyalty, and long-term growth. Inconsistent experience. Customers never know what to expect when companies constantly switch AI tools. The customer experience becomes unstable. One month, the chatbot behaves one way. Next month, it will behave differently. Then it changes again. Customers notice. They think, why is this different from last time? Why is the system acting weird? Why does this feel unfinished? Consistency builds trust. Inconsistency destroys it. Trend chasing creates inconsistency. Poor quality interactions. AI tools aren't mature enough when companies adopt AI tools just because they're trending. They often implement them before they're ready. This leads to incorrect answers, confusing responses, broken workflows, missing information, awkward conversations. Slow performance. Customers don't blame the tool. Customers blame the company. They don't think this AI tool is immature. They think this company doesn't know what it's doing. Trend chasing damages the brand. Increased friction. Customers have to relearn the experience every time a company switches tools. Customers must adapt. They must learn a new interface, navigate a new system, understand new steps, adjust to new behaviors, rebuild trust with new automation. Customers don't want to relearn your business. Customers want your business to remember them. Trend chasing forces customers to do the work, and customers hate doing the work. Broken journeys. That AI tools don't connect smoothly when companies chase trends. They end up with a patchwork of disconnected tools. This creates dead ends, repeated questions, missing context, lost information, conflicting answers, fragmented experiences. Customers feel like they re-talk in 5 different systems instead of one company, and nothing frustrates a customer more than repeating themselves. Trend chasing breaks the journey. Loss of human touch. Automation replaces empathy. When companies adopt AI tools without strategy, they often automate the wrong things. They automate sensitive conversations, complex issues, emotional moments, high-value interactions. Customers feel ignored. Customers feel dismissed. Customers feel unimportant. AI should enhance the human experience, not replace it. Trend chasing removes the human touch. Slow response times. Tools create more problems than they solve. Ironically, many AI tools slow things down. When companies chase trends, they implement tools that crash freeze, misroute tickets, misinterpret messages, create duplicate tasks, require manual correction. This increases response times. This increases frustration. This increases customer effort. Trend chasing doesn't speed up service. Trend chasing slows it down. Loss of trust, forcing customers to stop believing in the brand. Trust is fragile. It is built through reliability, consistency, clarity, ease, respect. Trend chasing breaks all 5. Customers start to think, this company's unstable. This company's experimenting on me. This company doesn't understand my needs. This company is trying too hard to be trendy. Once trust is lost, loyalty disappears. Trend chasing doesn't just lose customers. Trend chasing loses future customers. Damage to reputation. Customers talk about bad experiences. They talk to friends, family, colleagues, social media, review sites, and nothing spreads faster than a bad experience. When AI tools fail, and trends chasing tools often fail, customers share their frustration publicly. This damages brand perception, customer acquisition, market positioning, competitive advantage. Reputation is expensive to build and easy to lose. Trend chasing accelerates the loss. The bottom line, the customer cost of chasing AI trends is enormous. It creates inconsistent experiences, poor quality interactions, increased friction, broken journeys, loss of human touch, slow response times, loss of trust, reputation damage. Trend chasing just hurt the business internally. Trend chasing hurts the people that business exists to serve. The companies that win in the AI era are not the ones who adopt the most tools. They are the ones who create the best customer experience powered by thoughtful, strategic, human-centered AI, because AI doesn't build customer loyalty. Experience builds customer loyalty. Are you feeling the pressure to jump on every new AI trend? It seems like every week there's a new must-have AI tool that promises to revolutionize your business. But what if I told you that chasing these shiny objects is actually hurting your ability to truly innovate? let us talk about why blindly following AI trends is a trap and how your organization can build a smarter, more sustainable approach to technology. First, let's address the elephant in the room, the fear of missing out, or FOMO. It's powerful. You see competitors launching AI-powered chatbots or using generative AI for their marketing, and you feel an immediate urge to do the same. The problem is, this reactive approach puts you in a constant state of catch-up. Instead of leading, you're just following. Innovation isn't about having the latest toy. It's about solving real problems in a unique way. When you're just copying what everyone else is doing, you're not innovating, you're just homogenizing. This leads to the second major issue, resource strain. Every new AI tool requires time, money, and talent to implement. You need to train your team, integrate it with existing systems, and manage the ongoing maintenance. If you're constantly switching focus to the next big thing, you're stretching your resources thin. Projects get started but never fully optimized. Your team gets burnt out from context switching, and you end up with a collection of half-baked tools that do you and really talk to each other or deliver significant value. True innovation requires focused, sustained effort, not a scattergun approach. So, what's the alternative? It starts with a shift in mindset from being trend-driven to being Instead of asking how can we use this new AI, start by asking what are the biggest challenges our customers or our business are facing. Identify the core problems first. Is it slow customer service response times? Is it inefficient internal workflows? Is it a struggle to personalize your marketing? Once you have a clear, well-defined problem, then and only then should you look for the right tool to solve it. That tool might be a cutting-edge AI, or it might be a simpler NAI solution. The goal is to solve the problem effectively, not to use AI for the sake of using AI. Let's take a practical example. Say your customer support team is overwhelmed. The trend chasing approach would be to immediately implement a generic AI chatbot you saw advertised. The result? You might end up with a frustrating chatbot that can answer complex questions and just creates more work for your human agents. The problem-driven approach, however, would be to first analyze the support tickets. You might discover that 80% of queries are about 5 simple, repetitive questions. Now you have a specific problem to solve. You can then look for a solution. Maybe it's a simple fact page or a targeted, well-trained chatbot designed specifically to answer those 5 questions. This focused approach is more efficient, less costly, and delivers a much better customer experience. Building this kind of innovative culture requires strong leadership. Leaders need to shield their teams from the noise of the hype cycle. They need to create a space where people can focus on deep problem solving rather than constantly reacting to external pressures. It's about fostering a culture of strategic thinking. Encourage your teams to run small-scale experiments or pilots to test potential solutions before committing to a full-scale implementation. This test and learn approach allows you to validate ideas and gather real data on what works for your specific context, minimizing risk and maximizing the return on your investment. Ultimately, AI is a powerful tool, but it's just that, a tool. It's not a strategy in itself. True, sustainable innovation comes from a deep understanding of your business and your customers. It comes from a disciplined focus on solving meaningful problems. So, the next time you feel that AI FOMO creeping in, take a step back. Ask yourself, what problem are we trying to solve? Is this new trend truly the best way to solve it? Or is it just a distraction? By anchoring your strategy in real-world problems, you'll not only avoid the pitfalls of the hype cycle, but also build a more resilient, innovative, and successful organization for the long term. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on building a smarter business. See you in the next one. We've talked about the financial cost. We've talked about the operational chaos. We've talked about the cultural damage. We've talked about the strategic confusion. We've talked about the leadership impact. We've talked about the customer experience. We've talked about the innovation breakdown. Now we need to talk about the cost that determines whether anything actually gets done, execution. Because ideas don't build companies. Execution builds companies. Strategies don't create results. Execution creates results. AI tools don't transform organizations. Execution transforms organizations. And nothing destroys execution faster than chasing AI trends. Trend chasing doesn't just weaken execution, it paralyzes execution. Let's break down the execution damage. The cost that silently prevents companies from turning potential into performance. Execution becomes fragmented. No one knows what to prioritize. Execution requires clarity. But when leaders chase AI trends, priorities shift constantly. Focus on this tool. Actually, switch to this one. Pause that project. Start this experiment. Drop everything. This new model just launched. Teams become confused. Projects lose momentum. Deadlines slip. Focus disappears. Execution becomes fragmented, scattered across dozens of unfinished initiatives. Trend chasing doesn't create progress. Trend chasing creates fragmentation. Execution slows down because teams are always relearning. Every new AI trend requires new training, new work, new documentation, new habits, new integrations. This slows execution dramatically. Instead of doing the work, teams are constantly learning how to do the work. Instead of improving performance, they're rebuilding processes. Instead of moving forward, they're resetting to zero. Trend chasing doesn't accelerate execution. Trend chasing slows it to a crawl. Execution loses consistency. Results become unpredictable. Consistency is the foundation of execution. But when tools change constantly, results become unpredictable. One week, the output is strong. The next week, it's weak. The next week, it's broken. The next week, it's different again. Customers notice, leaders notice, teams notice. Inconsistent execution destroys trust internally and externally. Trend chasing replaces consistency with chaos. Execution becomes dependent on tools, not capability. When companies chase AI trends, they rely too heavily on tools. They forget that execution requires skill, discipline, process, ownership, accountability. Tools can support execution. Tools cannot replace execution, but trend chasing creates a culture where people think we need a new tool to fix this. This tool will solve our problems. The next update will make this easier. Execution becomes dependent on technology instead of people. And when the tool fails, execution collapses. Execution suffers from constant restart syndrome every time a new AI trend appears. Teams restart the workflow, restart the documentation, restart the training, restart the integrations, restart the habits, restart the momentum. Restarting kills execution. Momentum is the engine of performance. Restarting destroys momentum. Trend chasing creates a culture of permanently restarting a company that never reaches full speed. Execution becomes reactive, not planned. Execution requires planning. But trend chasing creates a reactive environment where teams are always responding to new tools, new features, new announcements, new hype, new pressure. This reactive mode destroys focused discipline. Timelines, quality, accountability, execution becomes chaotic, driven by external noise instead of internal strategy. Execution loses accountability. No one owns the outcome when tools change constantly. Ownership disappears. Teams say, we're still learning the tool. The tool isn't ready yet. We're waiting for the next update. We're testing a new system. Accountability dissolves. People blame the tool. People blame the process. People blame the transition. People blame the trend. Trend chasing creates excuses, not execution. Execution fails to scale because nothing is stable enough to build on. Scaling requires stable systems, repeatable processes, clear documentation, consistent workflows, reliable tools. Trend chasing destroys all five. You cannot scale chaos. You cannot scale experiments. You cannot scale instability. You cannot scale hype. Scaling requires foundation and trends. Chasing destroys foundation. The bottom line, the execution cost of chasing AI trends is catastrophic. It creates fragmented priorities, slowed performance, inconsistent results, tool dependency, constant reactive workflows, lost accountability, failed scaling trends. Chasing dways niti, just weaken execution. Trend chasing kills execution. The companies that win in the AI era are not the ones who experiment the most. They are the ones who execute the best with clarity, discipline, and stability. Because AI doesn't execute, people execute. AI is the amplifier. Execution is the engine